Alright, so, there was a banner on my phone here, and I clicked on it, trying to get it off, and it went right to it, and it cut off the video on the last one. But I thought I had a little bit more time, but I guess I had time to read this article, but it doesn't matter. The IG, on Instagram, they like it kind of like a little bit under 20 minutes, I think. So the ones I have like a little bit over, they kind of like, they put like a minute and then skid it over. So it's kind of, this kind of works all out anyway, right? Right? I mean, come on. So we're gonna go with the CNN article here. All right. And I hope you guys do, because of all, even with all this, not because of all this, but I hope you guys do are calling your loved ones, Zooming, FaceTiming, calling the people that you guys do care about and stuff like that, and letting them know that how much they mean to you and everything else. Because you can be here 1 minute and gone the next, and we all know that, right? Right? Life is short. Time is fleeting. And that's really the only thing that really matters is time and how you use it and spend it. And I've learned that the hard way in my life. Right? So let's get into what CNN has to say. By the way, this article, the headline is Suicide Bombing Suspected Nashville Explosion. Investigators Search Home South of City. So they had to have 3 writers, by the way. Holly Silverman, Eric Levinson, and Dankin and Doan. Okay, well, let's read this article with one person reading this, and let's see why it took 3 people to write this article. Okay? This is kind of funny, right? Alright. Investigators looking into the Christmas morning explosion in Nashville now believe the blast was likely the result of a suicide bombing, according to 2 law enforcement sources with direct knowledge of the investigation. Do I sound like I'm on CNN? Officials have previously said they have recovered human remains at the scene of the bombing in downtown Nashville, and an FBI official on Saturday said agents are not looking for another suspect because they think he bombed himself up. Agents are also at the home in Antioch, just southeast of Nashville, to conduct court-authorized activity. FBI spokesman John Pax told I don't know why I got into that accent, but John Pax told CNN, according to a law enforcement official, a tip about the vehicle involved in the explosion on Christmas morning led law enforcement to the Antioch home. Bomb technicians have cleared the house to ensure it is safe for an evidence team to enter, Pax said. Investigators are now waiting for the evidence team to arrive and enter soon. Pack would not confirm who lives in the house, but neighbor Steve Schmolt told CNN that his wife noticed law enforcement trucks last night in the neighborhood. A recreational vehicle at the home scene via Street View on Google Maps appears to match the one law enforcement have asked for the public information on. Investigators believe the RV seen in the photos is the same one at the center of the explosion. Law enforcement source said, but they can't be certain because it was destroyed in the blast. The blast occurred Friday, 6:30 a.m. Central Time, after a computerized voice emanating from a parked RV loudly urged people to evacuate, warning the vehicle would explode in minutes. The RV's explosion left at least 3 people injured, set several other vehicles on fire, destroyed a number of buildings on the block, and knocked out wireless service in much of the region. How dare they? Law enforcement officials provided little new information in a news conference Saturday about how the investigation was progressing, but FBI Special Agent in charge Douglas Kornitsky said investigators were working on the case on several fronts. That effort involves the FBI's behavioral analyst units in Quantico, Virginia, along with approximately 250 FBI personnel working on the scene with law enforcement partners. As the investigation continues, there are no signs of an active manhunt, an indication that investigators are not looking for someone who still possesses a danger to the public, several law enforcement sources told CNN. I don't know why I'm getting into this accent. We can't confirm any individual or anybody that we've identified, Korneski said, adding at this point we are not prepared to identify any single individual. Korneski also said investigators didn't have any indication that they are looking for another subject. He added that there is no indication of other explosive threats and no other explosive devices were discovered during a sweep of the area. Notice they had a Swiffer. Among the questions investigators are trying to answer is whether the AT&T transmission building that sustained damage in the blast was the target of the explosion, the sources say. Asked Saturday about whether the AT&T building was a target, Korneski said, "We are looking at every possible motive." But they still don't got one in Las Vegas, so don't hold your breath, folks. Damage is shocking. Officials have said they are confident the explosion was intentional, like suicide. Still, the Christmas date, the early morning time, and the unusual warnings broadcast on loudspeaker before the explosion indicate that this was no attempt at mass murder. It was clearly done when nobody was going to be around, Nashville John Mayor Cooper said on Friday. No bystanders died from the blast. However, investigators found the tissue that they believe could be human remains near the site of the explosion, Metro Nashville Police Department Chief John Drake said. The blast tore into at least 41 businesses on 2nd Avenue in Nashville, a street full of historic buildings. Going down, down, baby. Concerned about the structural integrity of the affected buildings, the city cordoned the area off, and they won't allow anyone in until Sunday afternoon, when all of a sudden everything's okay again. Whatever happened before this is automatically okay. All these timelines and stuff, boom, it's like wizardry, folks. It just happens. It's kind of like when they say COVID, 10 o'clock, COVID automatically just gets stronger. Oh, maybe that's what happened in the UK. Maybe automatically it's just 10 o'clock there. Maybe that's why it's foggy all the time. It will be some time before 2nd Avenue is back to normal, Cooper said. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee on Saturday announced he had requested a federal emergency declaration from President Donald Trump after touring the site that morning. The damage is shocking, and it's a miracle that no residents were killed, the governor said. Early morning gunshots before warnings. Several local residents told CNN they woke to the sound of gunfire early Friday morning. Police said they were called to the location after a report of shots fired at around 5:30 a.m. Once on scene, police found a white RV, racist RV, parked in front of an AT&T transmission building at 166 2nd Avenue North. The RV was repeatedly broadcasting a message warning of an explosion set to occur in 15 minutes. Police said the vehicle will explode in 15 minutes, the voice said, according to Betsy Williams, who was staying in an apartment on 2nd Avenue. After repeating that message for a minute, the voice said, the voice then said the vehicle will explode in 14 minutes, then counted down from there. It's kind of like it wasn't bullshitting. 6 young uniformed police officers who heard the message immediately began knocking on doors and evacuating residents. Mayor Cooper praised them as heroes and said their swift action saved lives. As the countdown grew closer to its end, the message from the RV changed, according to a surveillance video taken from a building across the street. If you can hear this message, evacuate now, the message said about 6:30. If you can hear this message, evacuate now. The vehicle then exploded in a bright flash of light. Let there be light. 3 civilians were hospitalized and are in stable condition, officials said. The force of the explosion knocked down one officer, police spokesman Dan Aaron said, and caused hearing loss in another, but no officer suffered serious injuries. Unless you hear hearing loss, it's kind of serious. Maybe not. That's true. What do you think? Officials have no information about whether anyone was inside the RV when it exploded. Police also tweeted a photo of the RV as it was driven into the area around 1:22 a.m. Friday. As the investigation continues, officials will meticulously search the area for any trace of physical evidence. According to Andrew McCabe, a CNN law enforcement analyst and former FBI deputy director who was also fired for lying or lack of candor, which means being a liar. They didn't say that, but I'm just letting y'all know because Central pieces of evidence, however, could be scattered across a large scene, given the size of the blast. The most important question to answer at this time is who was behind the blast, McCabe said. We need to know who put this thing there and detonated, he said. It's only after you figure that out that you will start to talk about things like motive or purpose. Here's the interactive map. Interactive. Williams, the eyewitness, told CNN she was in her car with her family when the RV exploded into a fireball. Great balls of fire. Everything shook. It was quite the blast, she told CNN's Anderson Cooper. 3 cars were set afire. Trees were down. Bricks and glass were everywhere. Another resident said the scene of destruction was like an apocalyptic movie. AT&T spokesman Jim Greer told CNN that the company's network hub in the city was damaged and the explosion and service to the Nashville area was affected. AT&T is the parent company of CNN. Just so you know, the more you know. On Saturday, the company said crews were working around the clock to restore the outages caused by the explosion. Teams on site had faced challenges, however, including having to evacuate the building due to a fire overnight. The street is on edge of Nashville's hospitality and tourist district in a historic part of town. Technical experts from the FBI lab and evidence response teams have been brought in from around the country to help process this massive crime scene, said FBI Assistant Special Agent in Charge Matt Foster. ATF agent in charge Mickey French said his agency had activated its national response teams and was working alongside the FBI and Nashville police. The agency has explosive specialists, chemists, and engineers involved in the evidence recovery process, which is a good thing. Oh, that's the article. That took 3 people, folks. Ain't that weird? I could have wrote that in a couple minutes. 3 people. Jesus. CNN. That's why you're wasting all those resources, you know? Quality, not quantity, folks. Quality, not quantity. Remember that. That goes with everything. Alright? Alright, I love you guys. Remember, talk to your loved ones. Let everybody know. Kindness, spread cheer, not fear. Alright? Drink some beer. Alright? And remember, this was, whatever this is, it is what it is. But we have to move on with our lives. America has to reopen. We have to live on. We have to work. We have to get on. Right? Liberty means the right to die the way you want. If you want to go and get sick, then you have the right to go do that. If you want to go to work and do all that, you have the right to do that. That's what liberty is. Liberty is not pretty. Freedom is not pretty. All this stuff isn't pretty. People like to have the pretty side of things, but sometimes just things are ugly. You know what I mean? And that's the ugly side of things, and that's kind of the ugly side of life. That's kind of like the beautiful side of life is like spring and summer, and then the ugly side is like fall and winter, right? But that's kind of what we got now. It's the same kind of stuff, right? Just remember that, folks. I love you. Everything's going to be all right. This too shall pass. We will come out of this stronger. You know what I mean? Mind over matter. Remember that. Stay positive. Keep your pretty little heads up. And remember that I love you, beautiful people.